Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Jon Uhler. This is Journey to Healing. We are in the midst of a series on grief and loss, but we are spending time looking at one of the key issues that will keep us hindered from understanding how best to implement boundaries. Why are boundaries important? Because when we're dealing with grief and loss, most of us think in terms of death and dying, and understandably so. But death and dying represents only about, in my estimation, about 20% of what we actually deal with as far as grief and loss. There are a lot of things that we will have to grieve in order to be able to find peace. Peace with the past and make peace with the past so that we can move forward. But if we allow the situation in the current day to be continually stirred up, I will never be able to go back and deal with the past. Why? Because I've got too much stuff going on. So we've been looking at a number of things that will hinder us from being able to bring peace to our current day situation, and to have context and to be brought up to speed and to access a number of the programs in the past that will help you understand some of the things that will keep you stuck. You can go to SurvivorSupport.net. Under podcasts, we have a growing repository of programs that will help set the stage for now what we're going to talk about. And we're picking up where we left off last time. We are looking at the things that will hinder someone from establishing boundaries. Boundaries are limits. Why are limits important? Because you are important. Other people around you are important. Selfish people are not important. Actually, if they're in their selfish state, they're kind of not important at that moment. Now, are they people and therefore important? Yeah, but at the same time, if they are being hurtful, then they are putting themselves in a category where they are sort of under judgment. Why? Because they are violating some really important scriptural principles that God put in there in the Old Testament and New Testament, but primarily as far as how we treat people. Because if I am hurtful, I am operating in the realm of injustice. I have become an oppressor. If I take my stuff and put it on you, I am now oppressive. So if I'm hurtful, and by the way, and that's in a previous podcast if you want to look at that. That is the warthog assessment. And then what to do if you find out you have a pig in your life. I kind of go in depth into what happens in terms of a one-up, one-down relationship. But if you find yourself with a hurtful individual, then you're going to have to implement boundaries. Why? Because little by little, they are chipping away at you. And I can be hurtful, I can be oppressive in one of two ways. Okay? I can take my stuff and put it on you. That makes me an oppressor, because when I take my responsibility to do what is right, just, and fair, in violation of the 3,000-year-old principle in Proverbs chapter 1 and chapter 2, if I take my responsibility to do what is right, just, and fair, and I put it on you, you will feel that, hence the oppression. But I can do that in one of two ways. I can put on you what you don't deserve, which is my crud, my bad day, my inclinations, my reactivity. So I can give you my stuff. Now what are you supposed to do with it? Okay, really you're supposed to give it back, and that's what we're now looking at. Okay, but I can oppress you in one of two ways. I can put on you what you don't deserve, and I can remove or take or withhold from you what you do deserve, such as a compliment, such as letting you know that you are appreciated, such as letting you know that you are valued and you are secure and you're safe, and that if you're married, that your relationship is exclusive. As an aside, I'll speak to the men. I'm going to speak to the married men in this audience for a moment. If you are into pornography, you are oppressing your wife. You are taking your responsibility to live faithfully because you promised something at the altar, did you not? And once upon a time in the old-fashioned days, long before the internet and long before paper porn, what would you have had to do what you're doing now? You'd actually have to go somewhere. So just because it's now on screen or on film doesn't cut you any slack to say you are unfaithful and you're filling your mind with all sorts of stuff, and therefore you are chipping away at the heart of your spouse. And you are a thief, and you're actually a soul murderer, quite frankly. So you need to seek help and do so immediately. If you do not, then your spouse needs to separate from you. Why? Because you don't intend to stop, and therefore you are unfaithful and you're a mental adulterer, quite frankly. So you're breaking your marital vows. So they need to separate. I strongly recommend that. So wives, there's a little food for thought there. Okay, what will keep you from doing that? So here's a perfect segue. What will keep you from doing what you need to do then? If you've been hurt by someone, let's say you've been hurt by a spouse, ladies, let's say you've been hurt by your husband and he's into porn. But we could say parents, if you have adult children, or adult children if you have parents, and they are continuing to give themselves permission to be hurtful, what do you have to do? You have to begin to set limits or boundaries. Boundaries presuppose that somebody or something is important, and you are important. Why? Because Jesus said, do not cast your pearls before swine. You're a person, you matter, and you will be called to give an account of what God has given you. And he's given you your pearls, your time, effort, energy, resources, your voice, your future. And we talked about that in the past. So these are things that a thief, an oppressor, a selfish person will hinder and will steal from you. So what's going to cause you to not implement boundaries, to be hindered in the process of setting boundaries? Mistaken notions. So we're picking up from last time some additional mistaken notions. Here's another mistaken notion. This comes from a Hollywood film. Mistaken notion that love means never having to say you're sorry. That is not true. Love always means that you say you're sorry. A mistaken notion that the past is in the past and that time heals all wounds. Folks, that is not true. Maybe with superficial things, but when it comes to actual important things, if I don't attend to things, if I don't address those things, all they do is get stuffed. I stuff things and they go underground and they become a landmine waiting to be stepped on. We call that a dysfunctional family. Dysfunctional families are simply this. They are tension reducing, but not tension resolving. And what happens? What happens when somebody lives in that kind of crazy making cycle? Well, it comes out in all sorts of ways at seemingly unexpected times. There's a show, the old Carol Burnett show. I'm showing my age, but back in the 70s, Carol Burnett and Vicki Lawrence used to do a little skit called Mama and Eunice. And on the one hand, do I find it funny? Yeah, I can still find humor in it. As a matter of fact, I used to think it was absolutely hilarious. But now, in this context, now that we're thinking about it, so we'll kind of think in terms of not so much the show, and I do recommend it. It's pretty funny, but think in terms of now, some people, some of you, some of us, as you watch this clip and watch it unfold, watch how there's a progression of hurtfulness, how that which has been under the surface, has never been dealt with, it's going to start oozing out in different ways.
Well, Ed, did you enjoy dinner?
Great. Just great.
Yes. You know, I think even Mama enjoyed it. Do you think my pot roast might have been the teensiest bit dry, though?
No, it was fine. Just right.
You know, Ed, I think Mama's been getting a lot mellower lately. I mean, ain't this been a pleasant evening so far?
Sure has. I thought for sure she'd say something, though, about that dry pot roast.
What? Oh, Mama.
Well, I was just saying, what a pleasant visit been this time around.
This time around.
Mama, did you get the boys to bed okay?
Oh, those two are just precious, you know. They asked me if I'd read them a bedtime story, and I said, you think you deserve a story when your room is such a mess? And they said, well, Mama lets us keep it this way. And I said, well, your mama may like to live in a garbage can, but I don't, so let's just clean this mess up. So I made a little game out of it, you know. Eunice, have you ever thought of that? I mean, making a game out of cleaning up that pigsty you call her bedroom?
Hey, you two! I was thinking maybe we ought to have a little fun tonight for a change and play a little parlor game. What? Hey, you remember Sorry? You remember how we used to sit for hours and play Sorry? Why don't we do that?
Thank you, Eunice. I think I'll just sit here and stay out of everybody's way, try to find something to read. If I can find anything worth reading. Liz gives Jackie black eye in feud over Latin lover. Who brings these trashy magazines into this
now,
house
Mama,
anyway?
Mama, some of them articles is authenticated.
Well, I suppose they'll keep printing them as long as there are people brainless enough to read them.
Well, I'm very sorry that I don't have the Encyclopedia Britannica around here for you to peruse through. But after all, I did fix us a nice pot roast this evening, and I bought that real expensive frozen dessert and everything just so we could have a good time. And I thought maybe instead of just sitting around reading, we could all be together and have some fun and play a little game of Sorry. And I took all these little men out of the box. But if you want me to, I'll put all these little men right back in the box, and we won't have to play. Come on, Ed, let's play.
Oh, please, stupid. That's a baby game.
Ed, please.
Anybody want beer?
Yeah, that hit the spot, Ed. I think I still got a piece of that dried out pot roast stuck in my throat.
Oh, a double. Oh, I get to move a man out. No, Mama, don't do that. Now, you threw a double. Now, don't use a double to move a man that's already out. You see, you got to use the double to get another man out.
I won't do this one.
Well, don't do that because you look like... Well, all right. The dumb move. Mom, it's your turn. Oh, now, Mom. When you land on that opponent, you pick up this little bell and you ring it and you say, sorry. And then that opponent has to go right back to where he started, see? You pick up the bell and you go, sorry. Because, Mama, there's a little yellow fella right here that's just dying to be landed on.
Sorry! I'm ready to go right back to start. I like this game.
See, Mama? Ed knows how to play this game. Ed shows no mercy. Ed just jumps on you when he can get the chance.
Now, what just happened there? Did you see some stuff oozing out? There was a progression. Some of us can relate to those kind of family games at Thanksgiving or Christmas. And the question is this: how's that game going? We're going to pick up that game in a few minutes. But did you notice how little by little, especially once alcohol, remember Ed asked if anybody wants a beer, and look what starts happening. Oftentimes what alcohol will do is it will not so much change someone as allow the truth to come out. By the way, if you drink and if you say, well, that's not who I am, it's just the alcohol, then guess what? What I'm here to say is this: no, that is you. And if you don't like me saying that, then stop drinking and prove me wrong. Alcohol lowers inhibitions so the true you comes out. So you're giving yourself an excuse to finally be honest and usually emotionally irresponsible. Think about those little barbs that were being shot from Mama to Eunice, basically calling her a pig, living in a pigsty. Is this how you keep house? So there were all those barbs. Then it has to do with the game, and then Eunice is encroaching upon her physical boundaries. Eunice is grabbing onto her, and Mama pulls away. But then little by little, what happened? Eunice starts to talk about Ed, her husband. So there's stuff under the surface that has not been talked about that's gone underground, and now it's going to start coming up. So there's a mistaken notion that, again, the past is in the past, but not oftentimes it hasn't gone away. So there's another mistake. I'm sorry, easy for me to say. There's another mistaken notion, or some other ones are, that they can't change. Because after all, look at that family, and what they'll say is, well, Mama's always been that way. Or Ed's always been that, well, that's just how they are. So they can't change because that's just the way they were raised. Or what they experienced as a kid, that's all they know. Or, the fact that they don't know any better. They're doing the best they can with what they've been given, really. They've been like that for so long, they've come to believe their own lies, or they come to believe what they tell themselves, and now they can't tell the difference between what is appropriate and what's not. Really. Watch what happens when somebody outside the home comes into the home. If they suddenly change and they know how to be appropriate, then they know. And again, then you don't necessarily have to deal any longer with patience because you're dealing with hurtfulness. And so truth is required. How about this? Well, hurt people, they hurt other people. So hurt people hurt people. And I cannot tell you how many times I heard in my groups that I was conducting in the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections on psychology staff, especially the sex offender groups, especially with the people that violated kids or young teens or barely legal. They said, well, hurt people hurt people. No, hurt people do not hurt people. Selfish people hurt people. And if you are hurt, and once you become hurtful, you're no longer a victim. You are an oppressor. Oh, you still can deal with being injured, but after you stop being an oppressor. So once you become hurtful, you lose the right to call yourself somebody that's been hurt until you stop it. There's another mistaken notion that everyone does the best they can with what they've been given. Again, that is not true. People do, we want to believe that, but we cannot lower the bar because many people that are extremely hurtful, again, they can turn it on and turn it off. So have you ever seen them at their best outside in a public setting, in a public venue? That's their best. Here's another mistaken notion that there comes a point in a person's life when they get a free pass for being selfish and hurtful because of their age. And where do we get that from? It's another mistaken notion that you automatically become worthy of honor by getting somebody pregnant or by getting pregnant. That is not true, right? We somehow have come to believe just because somebody got pregnant and delivered that suddenly they are worthy of honor. If that's the case, I can show you many men in the Department of Corrections in Pennsylvania and all the rest of the states that have a bunch of kids to more than one woman. They call them their baby's daddy kind of thing, or their baby mama. Their mothers to many, many kids. And we used to call those guys deadbeat dads. That's why some of them are in prison for actually not paying child support. So they don't get a free pass, and they are not honorable. So by the way, if your dad is in prison because he did some really heinous stuff or really bad stuff, he has removed himself from the position of being honorable. If he has not owned it, but still, depending upon what he did, you do not need to feel badly for not buying him a Father's Day card. If I'm a parent, I need to act like a parent and be worthy of honor. But if I become a fool, the Bible's very clear, do not give honor to a fool, whether they are a parent or not. It just says, do not give honor to a fool. So grace extends kindness. It does not enable. Because one of the mistaken notions, another one is that love means turning a blind eye to selfishness and to hurtfulness. Grace extends kindness. It does not enable or give license to allow someone to continue to be hurtful. Another mistaken notion is that it's normal to have love-hate relationships. to have emotionally reactive relationships, and to be dysfunctional. I'm here to tell you that is not normal. Just because you've been used to this kind of stuff, and as a matter of fact, listen to the audience. I think it was a live audience, by the way. So we all sort of laugh at it because we've either seen it or... But the question is this, as you watch this play out, is this your home? If this is your home, the question is this healthy? Is this reasonable? Is it right? Is it right, just, or fair? And then somebody might say, well, come on. That's just the way. Watch what happens now. We're going to pick up where the game left off and watch the progression as little by little issues that were never dealt with, hurts that were never properly dealt with, they will start oozing out.
Oh, goody, I got a man out.
Not anymore, you don't. Sorry.
Well, thanks a lot, Mama. You sure didn't take advantage of landing on Ed, but you sure as shooting came after me when you could, didn't you?
Slide.
Oh, shut up!
You're just trying to take advantage of your mother's stupid move just so as I can lose the game.
And you are trying to cheat. I know where he was because I watched this board like a hawk.
All right! Let's just move him back the number of spaces that I moved him forward.
She's right.
How many spaces did you move it?
Well, how the hell should I know?
You mean you don't remember how many spaces you moved that thing just a second ago?
Well, I guess I'm just too stupid ever to grab the goddamn dice up so fast.
How the hell was I supposed to know you were going to move the wrong man?
All right. Now just stop it. I know what it was. It was a 7.
Are you sure?
It was a 7!
Well, Eunice seems to be of the opinion that it was a 7. So I will just move the yellow man back 7 spaces. Then I will move my blue man ahead 7 spaces. Landing on your green man, sending him back.
Sorry! You wipe that smile off your face or I'll wipe it off for you.
I need me a nice big number now. Come on, 12. Oh, snake eyes. Here go the plans I had for that man, right down the tubes.
Just like all your plans, right down the tubes.
Don't you get on my back now, Eunice. I've had lots of good plans in my time. Yeah, maybe something would work out if you just weren't always ridiculing me and making me feel like a nickel.
I have never ridiculed you in my entire life. Oh, I may not mind you being such a flop if once in a while you might show me the least bit of consideration.
Oh, really? You done pretty well by me, Eunice, don't you? Yeah, look at all the stuff you got around here by the sweat of my brow.
Name me one good thing we got in this
one good
house.
thing. I named you done. What about them new pillows or precious pillows of yours?
Pillow cover.
Yeah, oh, yeah, what about that new salad bowl you never even used it?
Salad bowl, that's imitation wood. The wishbone dressing just eats right through it.
Well, how about that toaster, that new toaster? 4 slots.
Did you?
4 counting 4. You got a slot from your wall.
All you ever get from me is kitchen appliances, because that's all I do around here is housework.
You'd never know it.
I spend my entire life in this 2x4 shack, taking care of those 2 kids, and then you come home from work, Ed, and what do? Look at me, Ed. What do? You sit down and you fill your stomach, and then you watch the TV, and then you fall asleep. Oh, once in a while, you might feel a little bit romantic, and that's supposed to be some big thrill for me. I practically have to get down on my hands and knees tonight to beg you to play a simple little parlor game of sorry just so I can have some fun with this impossible old woman. And then what do you do to me? You scoff at me, you jeer at me, you laugh at me, you make fun of me, you tease me, and on top of that, you take my little yellow man.
It It's your move, Eunice.
It's my move. You want to see a move? How's this for a move, Ed? How's this for you? And how's that for a move, you two?
You are really nuts, you know? Nuts? One of these days they're gonna come over here and lock you up.
Oh, lay off of me, will
You ain't
ya?
playing with a full deck, Eunice. I think somebody blew your pilot light out.
Well, how many families are like that? And so you hear the audience laughing, and there's still a part of me, it sort of finds that funny. But at the same time, when we get serious and we're talking about this stuff, if that's your family has issues. That is a highly dysfunctional family. That is not family. What, just because you got people in the room, but look at what they're doing to one another. So a mistaken notion. Another one is that it's loving to keep the peace at the expense of not rocking or stirring the boat. Folks, that is a boat that needs to be rocked. That is a Titanic. Look at what's happening to everybody in that boat. No one's benefiting. Everybody's chipping away at one another. That is not healthy. That is not normal. It may be typical, but it's not healthy. And nobody's going to benefit. And you will remain stuck. How long can they keep doing that? For as long as it takes until somebody decides enough is enough, and we're going to start requiring emotional responsibility in this home. And we will pick it up at this point on the next edition of Journey to Healing.
You've been listening to Journey to Healing, sponsored by SurvivorSupport.net. We trust you've been helped by the information our host, Jon Uhler, has shared. To donate to this ministry, schedule a personal consultation with Jon, or to arrange a professional training for your church or organization with Jon, simply visit our website. On behalf of Survivor Support, we look forward to hearing from you and to have you join us next time on Journey to Healing.